What's up, my friends? Today is a very special video. I'm going to talk about how I healed from mold exposure. So about 6 years ago, I was living near Jersey City in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey, and I was living in an apartment that had mold. I figured it out because at that time my hair was falling out and I kept looking at every shampoo to prevent hair loss, and I realized that they all had antifungals. And I had this moment of just like, aha, and then I just knew that there was mold in the place. So I immediately told my landlord. My landlord paid for a mold test. The mold test came back positive. We had higher levels of black mold and higher levels of a mold called the Stachyboccus mold, I believe. Those were the two types of molds that we had. They were coming from the basement. There was a leak in the water pipes that you couldn't see, but it was creating mold growth. So what I did right away was I got out of there. I think I started to move out of there before the mold test even came back because I was pretty sure. So step one, get away from the area. Now what I did might be a little bit more extreme than what some others may do. I was suffering from health issues beyond just mold, and that's really what tipped me over. So I also got rid of everything that was porous, like anything, like a lot of my clothes I had to get rid of. Anything that I couldn't wipe down with some sort of a bleach. I even used a mini hazmat suit to get my stuff out of there. I wasn't joking, but I really wanted my health back. So get out of there. I ended up washing some of the clothes that I did want to keep. I washed them in borax. So borax is really good for getting rid of some mold stuff. It actually works better than bleach. You can read about that. So enough about that. That was about 6 years ago, 6.5 years ago. And now I'm just going to talk about my protocol. I'm going to keep this video a little bit shorter than it could be because I'm really distilling kind of like years of healing into a short video. So let me just get right into what worked. Chlorella. So Chlorella as a binder works great if you have mold toxins in your body. And what I did was a high dose protocol at first. I did 20 tablets of Chlorella 3 times a day. And when I started that protocol, I had an instant, like day one, started to feel better. I continued onto that protocol for a few weeks until I just took it down to a maintenance dose. A maintenance dose would be about 5 tablets 3 times a day. And now even to this day, I still will do Chlorella, but I'll just kind of take it sporadically. So I'm not really on a strict regimen with it, but I do it intuitively. Whenever I feel like it, I always try to have some, take Chlorella a few times a week. Chlorella is also good for activating the macrophages, which are the big cells of the immune system. If you take them at nighttime, it's really good. And Chlorella is also good for binding to pesticides or any heavy metals or anything like that. It's a great binder. So let's go into number 2, the most effective thing. This is what I would recommend for anyone who knows that they've been exposed to mold, and that is raw fermented noni. There's a few places online you can get it. Raw fermented noni works better than anything else because it neutralizes the toxicity of the mold spores without your body actually having to flush them out. So you have the binder of the Chlorella to kind of bind to anything, but then you have the noni, which works in a very unique way to take the toxicity out of the mold spores so your body can heal. So once you have those two things going, I don't know the exact dosage on the noni. I would just kind of drink it as much as you could afford. I would be drinking kind of like large amounts of it. And then there is sweating. So sweating is one of the best ways of detoxing because toxins can be removed and they don't have to pass through the liver. They don't have to be actually excreted through your whole system, but you can just sweat them out. So any way that you can sweat, if you can afford to get yourself into a sauna, then definitely want to do that. One of the best ways to do it is just to get a gym membership. And a lot of gyms have these saunas now. So that's a great way. And you can get in there every day. You could save money. Or if you can afford to get the near infrared saunas or some of those sauna studios, there's different benefits to those lights that they use. but any sort of sauna will work for getting you sweating. The third thing is I would use a clean sort of coffee. I like to use the bulletproof coffee and do coffee enemas, which is going to stimulate the liver to start removing toxins. So if you kind of combine all those things, you have like this detox of doing coffee enemas once a week. You doing your sauna, so you're constantly sweating, and then you have your binder, and then you have your neutralizer. On top of that, the only thing I would add is it can put a lot of stress on your liver, so I will be supplementing with something like a milk thistle. And I think that's a great protocol. Now, the last thing I'm just going to add, and again, I said I was going to keep this video pretty brief, so I'm just kind of going into like what are the most potent things that you can do to heal if you know you've been exposed to mold, or if you have mold illness, mold-related illness. And now I'm just going to get a little bit into like some of like the basic health stuff that I think applies to everyone, but especially if you're suffering from mold. So, one thing is just to be grounding. It's just to get your feet barefoot on the earth. And there's so many benefits to that. But, especially for just getting rid of inflammation, and as a way that the earth has its own electromagnetic field, and also the earth is like an antioxidant, it's an electron donor. So your body can discharge extra electrical energy you don't need, and your body can actually recharge like a battery. And the second thing is sun exposure. So trying to get as much of your skin onto sunlight, trying to regulate your circadian rhythms, getting outside and viewing the early morning sunlight. I don't mean you have to gaze directly at the sun, but just being outside and taking in sunlight. And again, it's free, and it regulates the circadian rhythms. It brings the balance back to the brain. Did a whole video on sleep, so definitely trying to get the sleep back in order. And one thing that I would add is making sure your bed is not near an electrical outlet. I use a Stetson filter because I do have an outlet near the bed, but unplugging the Wi-Fi and turning your phone on airplane mode if you use it for an alarm, and not having your bed right next to the electrical outlet, because especially when you're dealing with mold illness, a lot of these things can really affect you. So you want to minimize the damage that you're going to get from any harmful man-made radiations there. And then you want to get the shower filter, because a lot of people drink filtered water, but then they don't shower in filtered water. And so a lot of the fluoride that you're going to get, or the bromide, or all of the chlorine, all those chemicals. I know personally, when I had to deal with mold illness, I had almost like multiple chemical sensitivity. I became more sensitive to chemicals and toxins. And so the shower filter that I use is Omica Organics, O-M-I-C-A Organics. And I searched through many shower filters because I was breaking out in hives, and I had a lot of skin issues, but I noticed it was worse after I showered. So I realized that something in the shower water was affecting my skin. And I tried different forms of shower filters over the years, and the Omica Organics is the best shower filter on the market. Also, getting the reverse osmosis under the sink filter, which you could get on Amazon. I use the iSpring model. iSpring, I think like an 8-stage. And then remineralizing that is a great way to get yourself lots of high quality, clean water, drinking water. And then getting to organic foods. I could do a whole nother talk on food and diet. So just kind of leave it at that. Is just taking out some of the sugars, taking out any of the processed foods, any of the foods that are known to be inflammatory, and getting in organic foods, and an eating schedule, maybe experimenting with intermittent fasting, or doing longer fasts. I remember when I had the mold illness, I felt really good after doing a few 24-hour fasts. So that's also something to explore. So anyway, I hope you found this video helpful. Keep strong. If you're dealing with the mold-related illness, it does get better. It can get better. You can heal. So remember that. Peace.